This podcast is an expression of the personal views and opinions of the hosts and guests, and they do not represent the official stance of the podcast, its sponsors, or affiliated organizations. The podcast may cover topics such as drugs, mental illness, politics, and religion, which can be controversial or sensitive. The podcast does not support any illegal activities and advises listeners to seek help from appropriate professionals for any personal concerns related to these topics. The information provided in the podcast is for general informational purposes only, and it is not a substitute for professional advice. Listeners are urged to consult with a qualified healthcare professional for any questions regarding their mental or physical health. The podcast and its creators are not responsible for any loss or harm resulting from the use or reliance on the information provided in the podcast.
Recording.
Turn my mic up.
Let's get it on.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Street Stoic podcast. We got all three hosts with us tonight. We got myself, Nate. We got Jay, and Mike is back.
What's happening?
How's it going, bro?
Fantastic.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I heard you have a quote-unquote precious baby, huh?
Yeah, very precious baby. Try not to offend anybody with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, little Lady Grace was born August 11th. 6 pounds, 4 ounces, 19 inches long. And she's a poop machine. So... But she very healthy. Everything's good.
Nice.
The wife's recovering well. So, yeah, it's been a crazy month between turning 40, getting COVID, and having a baby. So lots of stuff been going on. So,
Yeah.
Fun month.
How long until it set in that this was real?
Yeah, it definitely, especially because I haven't started my leave yet from work. So leaving work every day has been a challenge, but and that's what really sets it in. Like, man, I'm leaving something at home. I shouldn't be going to work, but I start my leave on the 4th, so we're excited about that. So
Nice.
Yeah,
but you're not gone that long, just like 3 months or something, right?
Yeah,
Glad you got to update us.
thank you.
Pretty sure the last podcast we talked about Mike was gone due to the baby. I think maybe even the one before that was the false alarm one, where you guys
that was the
ended
false
up dipping
alarm
to the hospital real quick.
Yeah, that happened too.
Yep. So, yeah. Good to have you back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
All right. So, without further ado, we're going to get into some quotes. And for this episode, we're still choosing some Stoic quotes that we prefer, but especially for this episode, we tried to find quotes surrounding things that we're currently dealing with, because there's three of us. That way, hopefully, we're all three have some different perspectives, going through different things in our lives, and maybe some of you could relate to one of those things. So even if it's not right now, maybe it's in the future. Some of the other episodes you might relate to, currently, and then later you'll relate to something else. But either way, we're going to get into it. Jay, you've got a quote or two for us, right?
Yep, got them ready here.
What you got?
So, for me, what I've been going through lately is pretty much getting ready for this move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, with what this move brings is pretty much it's like a whole new mindset that we're kind of gearing ourselves to, me and my wife and the family, in which we pretty much have decided that we know that we're gonna probably grind for a little bit, just making sure that we work and try to save, pay off some debts, and with that we're trying to like move into a smaller apartment for the time being, and for the purpose of just saving money. And with that comes the downsizing of all the crap that we've accumulated for the last couple of years. Currently where I live, it's a 1,600 square feet apartment, nice and spacious. One of the reasons why we ended up moving to Tallahassee, uh, the difference in price from here in Austin was pretty good. But now when I was looking at the prices in Des Moines for a two-bedroom apartment, that was a significant difference. So that's why we're looking at that as the option here. So it's potentially a year of just grinding and just dealing with the fact that we're going to be in a smaller 900 square foot apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes the decluttering of a lot of stuff that I mainly have been holding on to. So it's a process for me to just realize, like, okay, I haven't been using any of this shit, so it's time to get rid of it because it's just taking up space, and that's what I'm seeing. So for me, with my quotes today, it's going to be geared more towards materialism and kind of trying to get rid of that hold that a lot of things have on me. So the one
Yeah.
I that's sticking out to me right now is this one from Epicurus. Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not, but remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for.
Mm.
That that brings it that brings it into real reality for me,
Mm-hmm.
because for someone who grew up wanting more, wanting to have the latest and greatest of things. I was always a tech geek growing up. I always try to have the nicest, newest thing, and I've come to realize, like, having that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to make me happy, right?
Right.
And I've learned that sometimes you buy these things and then they just sit there after some time, just
Mm-hmm.
because you just move on to the next thing. So that's what I'm coming across a lot, especially around here, where it's like, I've this thing has been sitting here for like a year, 2 years, and I haven't even used it. And the only thing that I can think of is, one day I'll use it. One day I'll use it. And that one day hasn't come. So at this point, it's just like, okay, if it's not being used, if I don't really see myself in the next month or two using it, then I don't need it. So if I'm not planning on it, like, in a very disciplined way to actually put it to use, then there's no point in keeping it.
Right.
And that's where I'm at with that. Just to be happy with what I have now, because I've come to realize too, it's like, if my younger self saw everything that I do have now, he'd be happy. He'd be like, "Wow, you made it." And I'm here thinking like, "Man, this is nothing. I still want to
Right.
have this. I still want to have buy that." And it's just like, it's not gonna do anything. It's gonna be fun for some time, and then what? It's just gonna be there collecting dust. Because then I'm gonna be waiting on the next thing, on the updated thing. It's just like, that's where my head is at now. It's like, you what you have now is pretty good. So just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it, take advantage of it, that you have all these things, and then it's like, if you don't even use them all, so it's just, don't worry about it. If you got to get rid of it, just get rid of it. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, man. I feel that for sure. You know, even if it's just like weekly chore stuff and you're picking up the house, it seems like after, especially with kids, right? Like the house gets destroyed and you're like, where did all of this stuff come from? And it's just kind of like a weekly eye opener. Like, man, I remember when we didn't have any of this. You know, it's like, how did we survive without it? It's like, well, we did, you know? So, yeah, downsizing.
That there comes something with that too, right? With the get with the toys kids get. I've always, I don't know, I feel that me and my wife started late in this game of having kids, uh, because people around us
Mhm.
started early. I noticed everybody else was having kids at a younger age than I was, so for me, I'm the one of the last ones in my group of friends. That's why we just
Mhm.
decided to have three kind of back to back to back
Yeah.
and get it over with. But I did observe, I did notice things, and some of the things that I noticed was people around me. It's a thing that I think people just, it's in their head, right? It's like, I didn't have that when I was young, so I'm gonna
Hmm.
make sure that my kids have all of this. And then you just, it gets overwhelming for some people. I've seen it. It's just like you go and you see the amount of stuff that the
Yeah.
kids have, and they're not even
Yeah.
playing with all of it. It's just they're playing with the most random thing that isn't really a toy, and it's just like, what about that whole section over there of things that you have accumulated there? Go play with that. And they're like, nah, I already played with that. The same thing happens too with kids. You buy them the new thing, they'll play with it for like a couple of days, and then it just sits. And I noticed that in my girls too. We try not to, but
Hmm.
people around us love giving the girls a lot of gifts. We take it, but
For sure.
it's it's a lot. My wife is notorious for decluttering the girls' toys. She, if she can get rid of it, she'll get rid of it. She's
Yep.
like, they haven't been playing with this. I don't want this here. Yeah.
Without a doubt. And you know what's funny is two things I thought of while we're talking about this is the relation between kids and cats, right? Like you get a cat a toy, it plays with a
Yeah, I
box.
was thinking the same thing.
You know what I mean? And you know, you get an extra box in the house, and kids are. Yep, yep. Kids are playing with the box. You know what's funny too is like we don't even realize that they don't have to be brand new toys, right? Like that's something that my wife kind of opened me up to. Is I think she's part of this. It's like a free something free group, and like they have a bunch of toys on there that people are getting rid of for free. You just go pick it up, they put it on the front door type of thing, and you know our kids get it, and it's like brand new to them, and it's the same kind of concept as if you know kids go to another kid's house or you know friend's house or family's house, whatever, and they got toys there. Next thing you know, they're wanting to play with those toys because it's new to them. And a lot of us, you know, we stress over like, oh man, those toys cost a lot and all that stuff. But there's other ways. There's other way around. You know.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. When it comes to even clothing for the girls, uh, the funny thing is, I have a sister who also, she's pregnant now, and she's also going to
Mm,
have another girl, so that's going to be her third.
third girl.
We for the last, yeah,
Nice.
for the last, well, since, what is 5 years, I guess I would say.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 5 years, we've pretty much been doing hot potato with the clothes from the girls.
Yeah,
So,
dude. Yes.
well, the baby clothes from one baby, pretty much when the baby isn't fitting into them anymore, and then my sister has a daughter that's probably going to be able to fit into those. We'll pass it over, and then when we had our second child, Then she passed over back those clothes. So it's pretty
Yeah.
much all. It's going to be a total of 6 now. All those girls probably end up wearing the same clothes at one point in their lives.
Yep.
All because we've just been passing it around, and it's just it's so much easier, man. It's you don't have to be buying new clothes if you can get them, especially if you're doing it amongst family and stuff. It's the
Oh yeah.
easiest way to do this stuff, man.
Yeah, and you know what? They grow out of it so quick too. You know, and so yeah, like you have to buy new clothes. It fits them maybe for that season, maybe not, and then you're trying to look for other clothes out of season and all that stuff. And yeah, man. I know one thing that I think is popular is there's a certain brand from Target that if you buy it and the kid outgrows it, you can trade it in for the same thing but a different size or something. I
Yeah,
don't
I've heard of
remember.
that. Yeah.
People can Google it, but yeah, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, buddy. Mike's learning all about that right now, huh, Mike?
I sure am. My baby's a week old, and we've already given away 4 bags of just stuff that we don't have room for. Like people are giving us so like we feel so
Yeah.
blessed, right? Like people are giving us all these clothes,
Yeah.
but we just don't have room for them all. So like we've already given away like several bags, so 4 bags total.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're probably like
So
stuffed to the brim, huh?
oh yeah, there's no medium full bags. They're all just stacked in there. So
Yeah, I remember. I think it was with our boy. My aunt had come over, and I don't remember if they were like. I think it was like a mixed bag of like some from her, some from her friend, or something. Just brought over like I don't know 3 or 4 garbage bags full of clothes, kids' clothes, and like some of it was like used, some of it was barely used, some of it was brand new, and we ended up having. And she was like, "Hey, whatever you guys don't use, just donate." And so we ended up, saving some and donating the rest. But it was like pay it forward kind of thing because yeah, they just grow out of
right,
it so quick. All
Hey,
right.
Mike. The only thing that I can tell you right now is enjoy the hell out of this moment because boy, you'll
right.
never get this back again. This is an experience that
That's
you
right.
just won't get back again. So sometimes it's going to be very frustrating having to sometimes stay up late at night dealing with a crying baby, but man, there's going to be times when you're going to look back and be like, damn, I remember those moments where I
Yeah.
had to hold her in my hands trying to get her to sleep, and you'll realize later how significant these moments are, and you wish that you still had them.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Just trying to take it all in.
Actually, that reminds me of I think it was like the best advice I ever heard. I don't remember if a friend told me or I read it somewhere or something. And I think Mike, we might have been talking about it this week. We might have been leaving a code or something, but the advice was like never wish your kids were a different age. Don't wish they were, like younger or older or anything like that. Just live in the moment. Appreciate the now. Otherwise, it's gone and you were thinking about something else. Oh, there's a baby. So cute. And she's awake.
She is awake. This is one of the few times that she's awake.
Yeah, eyes open and
She's not
everything.
camera
That
shy at all.
Mm-mm.
that's Ada Grace. Good
There
night.
we go.
Not camera shy at all.
Good night, Ada. She's gonna be a
Yeah,
future professional podcaster now.
yeah. Get her started young.
Yeah. Hey, like, because podcasts are a thing of the future or whatever. She's gonna have friends, and she's gonna be like, "Yeah, I was the first one to do this podcast thing, guys. I did it. What is it? 8 days after I was born. So
Yeah,
watch out."
yeah.
Bragging rights.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got it.
So, yeah, a couple of quotes that I got here, and unlike Jay had it pretty narrowed down to the two and was able to isolate that. I had four that were kind of really speaking out to me, so now I'm trying to really decide which way I'm going, but I think I got it. So the two I'm going to use kind of coincide for um, what I kind of what I've been dealing with, or like the theme also that I've been talking about on the podcast, especially recently and with the challenge. I guess I'll before I go into the quote, I'll give an update on the challenge. Uh, I think maybe it's been like 2 weeks now since I was sick, but I haven't been able to restart the challenge. Well, I shouldn't say haven't. I just uh, or haven't been able to. I just haven't done it. Really, it's just a struggle mentally to when you get sick and your sleep schedule gets all off and all that stuff. But I've got a plan of action moving forward, and I think remembering your reason why you're doing it is huge, and that's kind of what we're going to get into with these two quotes here. So the first one's from Epictetus, and it is, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." And I think we've kind of talked about that in other episodes. Our imaginations make things seem worse than they are, and then we're doing it, and it's really not as bad as we kind of expected them. And I think it kind of coincides with expectations, and I think we might have even done a episode just based on expectations alone. But that's one thing I've been trying to focus on a lot recently, is try not to have expectations of people, because that's our own perception. That's something that we made up in our minds about who that person should be, rather than just letting that person be whoever they are, and trying not to, I guess, modify that person's reality in a way, because our perception of people and expectations can impact them as well, depending on how much time we get with that person or our interactions. Uh, and then going into the second quote, this one's from Seneca, and it says, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared?" And what I was thinking about when I read that quote was, I think it was in an episode where Mike was kind of questioning, or I think Mike hosted that episode, and he was just talking to Jay and I, asking us different questions. And he was like, "What's your next biggest challenge," or whatever. And that's the thing that I think I've been striving to do, is look for those hard little challenges, and that's to kind of overcome the anxieties around those things. Because oftentimes the reason why we don't get success is because we think, like, I don't want to put in the work, or that might be too hard. We have all these anxieties of failure, and all of these different things when we think about trying something new, something that we're not used to, something we're not comfortable with. And I think purposefully putting yourself in that situation, on one hand, it'll inoculate you to that situation, and on the other, it'll show you really it's not as bad as you imagined it. And it kind of helps feed your willpower and your discipline at the same time. Like I was reading a page from Jocko's book. I think it's called, oh yeah, Discipline Equals Freedom. And he talks about the differences between discipline and willpower, and how there was a study that said the two, the more you use them, the more fleeting they are. And he argued the latter, that the more you use them, the better you become at them. And I think putting yourself in those sucky situations, or the things that you're uncomfortable with, build resiliency because of that inoculation, and because you get to see that it really isn't that bad. And that's something that I reflected on one of my longest streaks in the 75 hard uh, attempt. Was every time I was like, I don't want to work out, which was almost every workout, and twice a day for a long time. Um, as soon as I started working out, I was like, man, I don't know why I was postponing this. You know, yeah, it sucks, but like I'm starting to feel better, and especially after workout, like post workout, I felt fantastic. My mood was better. I felt like I could breathe better, and it all started over. So there's 2 workouts a day. I did one way early in the morning, and then I did one after work at night. And I did that whole process over on the second workout. Like, man, I really don't want to do my cardio session at night. And then it's as soon as I'd push myself to do it, I realized, okay, like, I don't know why I was postponing this. This is not as bad as I thought. And then afterwards, I was like, man, I feel great. And something that I've noticed since I've stopped doing it, is that, like, everything's out of whack. Even though I felt, I'm not sure I could describe it right now, but even though I felt a sense of stress during the challenge, like a need to accomplish it, a need to, live up to my own expectation, um, I actually, now that I'm not doing it, feel more stressed than I did while I was doing it, because I'm not sleeping as well. I'm having weird dreams, not hydrating as much. I feel more tired than I did when I was doing it, and it's just kind of throwing everything out of whack. And so there's a real big push to start that again. And it looks like Jay Jay's got something to say.
I think we're living parallel lives, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
for the last couple of days, the last week or so, man, I've just been out of it.
Hmm.
I've been feeling like I'm in a funk, and I know specifically what's going on. I just can't figure out. Well, I can figure out. It's just very difficult right now trying to get my sleep schedule back in
Mm-hmm.
order. That to me has whacked out everything, because if I don't get that good morning start, oh man, my day is, I'm catching, like I think I've said it before. I'm trying to catch up to my day, and I don't like that. I want to be prepared before I have to start my day, and I'm playing catch up throughout the whole day, and I'm I'm not getting my morning walks. Uh, Everything just feels rushed when I wake up, because it's like, oh, I have like a couple of minutes. I have to get to work. I work from home, but
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a little stressful. And then I have my daughter at home normally when I'm working, so constantly having to deal with her, coming in and out. But that's not as frustrating when I've gotten my morning. I've woken up in the morning and been able to get my walk, been able to try to just relax a little bit before. So I'm figuring that out. Like yesterday, I told my wife in the morning. I told her, I don't. You need to come home at some point early, and I need to get out of this house. I told her I need to get out. I need to go get some sun. I need
Yep.
to go out for a walk, and I did. I took like a good hour plus walk at a park around here that I like going to, and I just kept walking around in circles until I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I felt good, like you said, man. You get that in, and you start realizing, like, oh, you feel good after doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
there is something in that, man. Just getting out there, doing stuff that although it's you might not want to do, you not might be up for it. If you just go through it and get it accomplished, and you'll feel good. There's a good feeling
Mhm.
of just getting that, well, just getting a sweat in, man. Just getting a workout in or something. Just
Yep.
get active, something, do something. So
Some sort of struggle.
I know. What's that?
Oh, I just agreeing with you, saying that we need some
Yeah,
sort of struggle.
yeah.
Yep.
So I think what I know I got to do is I just need to be prepared before, get my good sleep, get enough sleep so that I can start my day early. I'm hoping to me even the time zone change is going to help me when I move out of here. I'm not sure. Maybe living on the East Coast is not helping me anymore. I mean, I was born on this side, lived most of my life, but it's just not working, man. It's a little bit difficult right now. So I am in the process of trying to figure this out and trying to get something more balanced out. So
Yeah.
I know that I know what the outcome's going to be as far as if I stick to it. So it's more of a discipline thing, and that's why stuff like that, like you're saying, man, you you just got to go through it, man. You got to go through it
Yep.
and just
You
you
have
make that
to.
a habit. You just got to make it a habit. Yeah.
Yep. And that, that's
Yeah.
one thing that I don't know if it. Well, now I'm using it as fuel, but for a while it's kind of bringing me down. Was especially while I was sick. Um, I was starting to see, because when you're working out and you're dieting, your results are delayed. So you do something for 2 weeks. Probably 2 weeks after that is when you see the results from your initial push, right? And now well, it's been 2 weeks. So the first week that I really stopped, kind of right after I got better from being sick, I started noticing the results in the mirror. Like, oh, I could almost see my top two abs and all this stuff. And I was excited. And then I was like, shoot, I got to get back on the horse fast. And then it almost felt like the horse was just kept getting away from me. It was like trying to, you know, get on the horse while I was running, like you were saying. Like you're trying to catch up to your day. I'm trying to catch up to this horse, and this horse is a stud, man. And so, yeah, and you know, now that it's been a little bit since I've been doing it, I'm starting to see the results of not doing it. And it's like, oh man, I did all that hard work and I was starting to enjoy it, but now it's like slipping through my fingers. It's like trying to pick up a bunch of like really fine sand and it's just going away. It's like, man, gotta do it. You gotta make that mental
Yeah.
decision and just commit to it.
Yep. Yeah.
Completely
I'm
agree.
going through the same
Yeah.
thing too. Yeah. It's uh, I haven't been doing my reading. I haven't been working out. I haven't been doing anything other than just trying to tread water. Uh, but when you're,
Yeah.
when you're trying, when that's all that you're doing, treading water is pretty fucking hard. But you've got to do all the reading and you've got to do all the exercise so you can tread water. Um, and so that's,
Yep.
I'm falling into the same thing. And, uh, you just have to do it. Like Jocko says, you just have to do it. There is no tomorrow. Now is the time.
Yeah, Mike, you got a couple of quotes or a quote for us?
I do. I got one, and it's from Marcus. It says, "You have power over your mind,
Mm,
not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Uh,
yeah.
that quote right there, I mean, that sums up everything. My last month, uh, that sums it all up. You know, uh,
For
like I
sure.
just said, just trying to tread water, and you've got to do all the other stuff so you can tread water. Um, you you don't even realize how strong you are, personally, until
Right.
you realize how far that you've already fallen. You're like, man, I done some pretty hard stuff, and why am I crying over my internet not working? Like, how
Yeah.
did I get that far? I have
Yeah.
noticed it. My temper is shorter. I don't have nearly as much patience, um, and it makes you miserable. There's no reason that you have to be that if you just put in the work. Uh, to freshen your mind and freshen your soul. That's all you have to do. It's um, it may not be fun to do it in the first. To sitting there watching TV, that's probably a lot better in the moment, but you're not going to get the long term results out of it.
Yeah.
Um, so um, you know,
Right.
uh, we we
Yep.
we as humans do not know what we are truly capable of, and um, hopefully we never will,
Without a
and
doubt.
hopefully we just keep trying to strive for that perfection, uh, and realize that we're never going to get there. That's uh, that's my goal. you know, is always do my best, and right now, honestly, I don't feel that I am doing my best, and that's um, the
Right.
time is now. So.
Ooh. Ooh. When you said that, it made me think of something. In high school, I don't remember if it was an all high school thing or if it was just for the wrestling team, but we had this guest speaker come out, and he was a wrestler, and he said before a match, he would ask himself a question. It would let him know his fate, basically. And it might have been two questions. That was a long time ago, but the one that I remember was, did I do everything in my power to prepare for this right now? And
Mm-hmm.
he said, if he could answer yes, then he know he had won the match. And whether he won or lost the match, he won, right? Because he did everything in his power. He was doing the best he could. But
Mm-hmm.
if he asked himself that question and the answer was no, he lost the match. And it didn't matter if he won or lost the match, for the sports part of it, but he lost the match because he didn't prep for it. That's kind of what you were saying made me think of that. It was like, am I
Yeah,
doing the best I can?
that's all we can do, and that's all we should do is everything that we can. That's
Yep.
if we're not doing everything that we can, then what's the point? What is the point?
Yep.
Uh, that's the true meaning of life, is to do everything that we can, and in order to do that, you have to put in the work to do that. If you're not going to put in the work,
Yep.
you're not going to get the fullest or best outcome out of your life. So.
The most important thing in this whole situation is the fact that we're recognizing this
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, that we're
Mm-hmm.
realizing that we are not doing things to a certain level of our potential that we know exists inside of us. That
Mm-hmm.
even in those times where we're sitting down comfortably just not doing what we might want to do, we are aware that, oh shit, this is actually keeping me from doing the thing that I should be doing or I want to be doing. And that's already important in itself, because that's what you need to focus on as far as pulling that as fuel, making that as your motivation. Like you are aware of this. You're realizing that you are causing this to yourself. So what are you going to do in this situation to change that? And that's the best step to start with, because if you don't have that, and there's people that don't, that they
Mm-hmm.
just, this is it, this is what I want to do, I want to just be comfortable, I just want to do this. It's like, yeah, but you say you want to do all these other things, and it's just like it doesn't click pretty much for some people.
Yeah. Jay, uh, when you were saying some people don't have that, I was thinking, uh, that's true. Some people don't have that. And I think even within ourselves, like we're realizing these things right now. But I think something that I would at least like to admit is that I don't have that in everything that I do all the time, right? So, like the things that I'm focusing on, it might be easier. The things that I'm not focusing on, or I don't even realize yet, I'm not doing it, right? And it's like one of the concepts that Mike and I teach at work. We actually play this video, and the video is titled "It's Not About the Nail," and it's this husband and wife, and this wife is talking, and she's saying she's got like this headache, and she feels all this pain, and then it finally shows her forehead, and she's got this nail sticking out of her forehead, and the husband's like, "Hey, if you just pulled the nail," and she's like, "It's not about the nail." She just wants him to listen. And something I've been mulling around about since we watched the video all the time, we've seen the video many times, is the fact that it's easier for us to solve the problem because we're not invested in it. But our own problems, when we're the ones dealing with it, it's not so easy. And the whole reason that we teach this concept of communication, or the concept that we do teach rather, um, the reason behind it is that you communicate with the person, you allow them to kind of vent and work through it on their own. You're there as just kind of like a bystander to their own conversation and problem solving, so that way they can work on it themselves. I mean, think about it. Like when we have a problem or a frustration that we're dealing with, um, it's hard to see past it, and like that's probably what brought us all and the listeners to Stoicism, is that we're looking to solve the problem ourselves. And in communication, it's so easy for the other person to see a solution. Might not be the solution, or it could be, but that's because they're not dealing with the emotions themselves. And that's one thing that, uh, the reason behind the quotes and the reason behind I've been doing a lot of stuff is like trying to find ways to reinvent that stress, to figure out, okay, how can I blueprint a mindset, a model, anything to be able to realize that I'm in the state that I am, and how to push through it on my own, before it becomes a problem, right? Before somebody else needs to tell me a solution that I'm probably not going to hear in the moment, anyways. Just something I've been thinking about a lot recently.
That was a good one, yeah, because I completely agree. um, that's something personal, that one kind of hit home. um, with what you mentioned, as far as like, I'm a problem solver, man. I want to always solve problems, and then when I see people around me that have problems that are out of my control, that I can't solve, and I try to explain certain things as far as that goes, it's like you said, right? I see it from the point of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
I see that this can be solved, but the person dealing with it, they don't see it, because they're invested, like you said, they're consumed and invested by the particular problem, that they're probably blind to the solution. It's just harder for them to see the way out, or the solution to that particular problem.
Mm. Yeah, dude, it's interesting that we get to do this, and then we all kind of decided that we're in the same headspace or a similar headspace, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. It's starting to get my wheels turning about, like, is this a full moon, or like all that other stuff. What stars are
I
we
was
under?
thinking the exact same thing.
Right.
Are
Uh,
we getting affected by something else that's out there causing us to feel this way?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like I was texting a buddy either yesterday or the day before, and we found out that we were in a similar headspace too. So it's just kind of feeding into my own suspicions, I guess you could call it. All right. Well, with that being said, it'll be interesting to see where we're all at the next episode. We all kind of decided that we've seen where we're at now, and let's see what we can apply, and let's uh let's do a recap in the beginning of the next episode. Let's.
Down for that. Yeah, I got a few things planned out as far as changing this all up because I don't like it. I don't like this continuous day to day sluggish feeling of just trying to catch up to my day and not doing the things that I know that are going to make me feel good daily. And if I don't have that, then I need to do something. So I have something planned in mind. Making sure that I cut what you've been doing with the social media purge and trying to not be on there. I think I'm going to follow suit on that because I think that's particularly part of one of my issues right now. I think I need to start getting off uh, doing minimal posting and then just get off and then don't even navigate through any of the social medias. Just give it a shot, see what happens. It's one of those things too when I think about it, be like, I've thought about doing it, and then I have that voice in my head that says, "Yeah, but you're also trying to advance a couple businesses, or you're trying to keep an exposure for yourself." And it's like, yeah, but that'll still happen when I get back in 4 or 5 days. So nobody else is going to keep tabs on you on how often you post. It's just you. You're the only one who knows that. Everybody else is probably just skipping through any of your posts if they're not interested in it. And to me, I've come to terms with that. That I know that I have people that you know that they don't support, and it's not because they don't support. It's just that they're not interested in the things that I post, and I'm fine with that because that's just how things are. So I don't hold I don't I know that there are people out there that's just like, damn, like I post this and I post that and nobody does, I don't get any likes and I don't get. It's just the way it is. There's just way too many damn content out there, and some people don't even spend time on social media the way that some of us do. So it's like, take all of that into consideration, all those different factors. And so, yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time for me to do the same thing. It's going to be doing a drastic cut on how much time I spend on there and just focus on redirecting that and focusing on the other stuff that I want to make sure that I'm focusing on. And then, like, for what I do, like for the content that I'm posting, I don't need to be on social media to be editing and figuring all that stuff out. So when I have that time, when I'm 2 3 days later, when I'm ready to post it, just post them. And then I told a friend of mine, I go, I'm just gonna do the Joe Rogan approach, just post it and just exit. That's it. I'm not even gonna just wait to see who's commenting or who's liking it or anything. Just post and go, and that's it. That's what I'm gonna just do.
Well, and because they've perfected social media so well now that, like, I think it was today or yesterday, I can't recall. I got on there, and because you can save things and you can make little albums for those things, and I have one for diet stuff, because there is some awesome content out there, especially for diets, and it gives you a little break from the monotony. And I had gotten onto Instagram for a specific recipe. I think it was like 2 hours later, got on Instagram again for the same recipe, because originally when I got on there to look for the recipe, something popped up that I was interested in. I start clicking on that, click on the next thing, click on the next thing. Next thing you know, I forgot why I was on my phone, put the phone down, and then later get hungry and realize, oh, wait, I was on there for a freaking recipe. And then I'm like scared to click into the app to even look for the recipe, because I'm like, dude, is it going to be another 2 hours before I eat? Like, so yeah, they perfected it all right.
It's sad how comparable it is to a drug.
Mm-hmm. It
Oh
is.
yeah,
The effects that it has in your brain.
it
All right,
is a drug.
dude, we got to cut this one. Mike's got to go, but
Yeah,
we'll
don't get us
maybe
started.
we'll do yeah, we'll have to do an episode on social media.
For
All
sure.
right, sounds good. We'll do that.
Yep.
We'll wrap this one up.
Yeah, let's wrap. This
Yeah,
is our
sounds good.
primary, major, super spectacular ending, because we're just gonna cut it.